5.5 years ago, in 2010, and I moved to New York for an internship at Spin magazine, and I interned around New York. I interned at Spin for a few months, and then I interned at a website called Hollywood.com for a while, and then I interned at Rolling Stone, and then I interned at New York Magazine, and then I finally got my first job in 2012 at the Village Voice, and I worked there for about 1.5 years, and then I got my job at Noisy, where I started as an assistant editor. Now I'm the managing editor. I've been at Noisy for about 2.5 years, almost 3 years. And yeah, it's when I was in Iowa, I was an English major, but I also worked at the Daily Iowan. I was the arts editor.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, since we took so much time setting up, I want to throw it.
Well, I just want to ask really quickly, were those paid internships or unpaid internships?
I moved out here for an unpaid one, but the New York Magazine one was paid, but the rest weren't. While I was interning, I was working at a pizzeria in New York for like 3 years, so I would intern during the day, and then I'd go work at a pizzeria at night. It was a very busy couple of years. I was working like 80-hour weeks. It sucked, honestly.
Excellent.
Students, questions?
Questions?
Yeah, what's up?
Thinking.
Well,
can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
How did you go about like finding the internship? Did you just like search online and like around like the parameters that you wanted, or did you just kind of like did you have like a hire hawk? Was that a thing?
Yeah, I just applied everywhere I could. I got the internship at Spin cold, just applying to different places when I was at Iowa. Actually, I had taken a job in Cedar Rapids at this place called Ruffalo Cody that does like copywriting for small liberal arts colleges, and I was just looking for a job, and they offered it to me, and then after I'd taken the job, a few weeks later, I got an email from Spin. They were like, "Hey, you're a finalist for this internship," and I was really excited about it, and I just tweeted like, "Oh, I'm a finalist for this internship," and I had like 40 followers or something, and the future employer of mine at Ruffalo Cody called me the next day, and they were like, "What's up with this?" And I was like, well, I got offered this thing maybe, and they were like, "Well, what about the job we offered you?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know." And they were like, "Well, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and revoke our offer." So they took the job offer away, and so I went from not have and at this point I hadn't been offered the internship at Spin yet, and so I went from having a job to not having anything, and then I got my degree, and then I walked, and then I got offered the internship afterwards. But in order to find it, I just honestly just applied everywhere. I it's a combination of like luck and just hard work, I think, as far as like getting an internship. Like anybody that you know can help, and that's really how a lot of people get ahead, just because they'll like know somebody who knows somebody. But honestly, there's like no magic like formula. You just kind of have to just send a shitload of applications.
so that's maybe that might be a word to the wise about Facebooking and tweeting things to.
Yeah, don't Twitter things. Just never tweet.
Yeah, those are good.
It's pretty good to not send stupid stuff on social media. However, Twitter is, as a young writer, is your best tool because it's kind of an open forum where you are a peer with every other writer. And I've made countless connections. One of the first times I think I realized the power of Twitter was when I was still an intern, and I had like 200 followers or something, and for some reason Rob Sheffield, who's a Rolling Stone writer, followed me, and I ended up going to a reading for a book that he released while I was still an intern. I didn't know him or anything, and I went up to have him sign my book afterwards, and he was like, "Oh, hey, like you're Eric from Twitter, right?" And I was like, yo, okay, yeah. So Rob Sheffield, this guy who's like an idol of mine, knows who I am before I like can introduce myself. And so I think that's like, you can do a lot of dumb stuff on social media that you shouldn't do, but it also can be like a very, very important tool.
Yeah, that's really useful.
What do you think about, do you think good internships to get in a career like yours really have to be in Boston, New York City? It sounds like you kind of went for the big stuff, and it still took a lot of work to get anywhere. So is that the better way to go, maybe to take the chance and go there? I mean, there are publishing companies out here.
I mean, it depends what you want to do, but to be honest, like, every place that I want to work is in New York or like LA or San Francisco. So like, you know, you can apply to stuff from Iowa, or like from wherever. But you know, but if I'm looking at, I even look at this like with interns, even outside of hires. Like I might like want to hire, if I was going to hire a young editor, maybe have them come from somewhere. But a lot of times where it's like, if I'm looking to hire an intern, I just want you to be able to come and start like the next day. And to be honest, like I don't think people really care if you're coming from Iowa, if you're coming from wherever. Like they just need you in the office. And it's in your best interest, I think, to just be involved in these scenes, because like when you're involved in like the media world or the music scene or whatever, like you have to like be part of it in order to like let people know who you are, I guess. And the way that you do that is just by like living here. I mean, honestly, if you want to work in media, it sucks, but you just got to move to New York. And like, I really believe that like you can work in different media, but if you really want to work in like what is like primo media, like this is where you need to be, because it's where it all is.
Hey, I don't know if you can hear me.
I can.
Yeah, so it seems like from your like rundown of your CV, you've done a lot of like music-specific journalism. Is that because you like limited your job search to like, okay, I want to write about music, or was it just sort of like those are the ones you looked at first and they happened to come through?
Yeah. So I mean, when I graduated, I was like, well, how can I make money writing? And the mentality that I took when I was in college was, well, I can do like journalism, and specifically arts and culture journalism. And I worked at KRUI as well. And so, I mean, because I've always been a huge music fan, and that seemed to be like kind of the natural direction to go. But that said, it's like very difficult to get a job in music journalism specifically, let alone one that like will actually pay you and pay you like a living wage. And so when I was, it kind of like, once I fell into like the path of like interning at Spin and then Rolling Stone, it was kind of like, okay, yeah, this is what I want to do. And this seems to be like what I'm best at. But my first job was actually was culture, like at large. So, which was similar to what I was doing at college. Like I was reviewing theater, writing books and things like that on top of music. But when I was looking for jobs, yeah, I mean, I think one of the reasons why I interned so long, and one of the reasons why, I had to sling pizza for so long, was because I wasn't settling. Like I was applying to different jobs, but I definitely would only apply to jobs where I was like, yeah, I could do that. Like I could write about that. I could do that. Because I couldn't see myself doing anything else. That's not to say that what I did was the smartest thing by any means. It's just kind of, it worked out for me because, I don't know, it just did. It's just like it's like a combination of just like busting your ass and like just like kind of getting lucky. I think it was Don McLeese who said this to me. I wasn't a journalism major, but he was pretty involved with the Daily Iowan art staff. I think he's still at Iowa, but I remember going into his office once and I was like really frustrated. I was like, man, I can't seem to get a job. And he's like, well, it only takes one. And so it's kind of like always been something that's been in the back of my mind. Like, oh yeah, it really does only take one, but you still have to apply to a lot of things. I wouldn't apply to something you can't see yourself doing, honestly, but at the same time, like you got to get a job. I will say that you guys are in better shape than I was when I graduated. Because when I graduated, like the job market was like beyond trash. Now people are like kind of trying, they've been able to figure out how to make money a little bit on digital media with places like Vice or like all these different startups. And so people are hiring a lot more than they were when I graduated. Yeah.
What do you like best about your job? I mean, I take it you actually are still happy you're in that field and you like it. What do you like? What every day?
Yeah, it's a job. I really like interviewing people. That's kind of like one of the best parts of my job. I really like to interview people, and when you're working in music, you get to interview a lot of like very cool people and interesting people, and I think that's been like the biggest payoff. Yeah.
I guess I'm wondering, a lot of these guys are English majors, and I know they have to go in a second. Their class is almost ending. We wasted so much time. But if they're English majors and they're not journalism or they're not writing for the Daily Iowan yet, but then you maybe have thought to take one or two more classes in journalism or to do an extracurricular, I guess what would you recommend? I mean, should they try a journalism class? Is that good for the field, or I mean, what else?
No, I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't take any journalism classes. It will do you nothing. Sorry. Just take writing workshops. Take a workshop with John DeGoddard if you can.
Yay!
Just write as much as you can, and like that's really all that you can do. The thing is, people always ask me like, "What can I do to get a job? What can I do?" It's like I don't know. Just like be good. I like that, and that's basically because there's like a lot of people who want to do this stuff, but like not as many who actually are really into it.